Welcome to Dynasty Playbook. I'm already sick of using the same tagline I've used for like 4 episodes, so fuck that. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me is my co-host, as always, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBombIDP. And we're back with like a regular episode for the first time in 2 weeks. Sorry for the delay, guys. We ended up having a really good buddy of ours come on for the show, and I mean, he's king of IDP, so we had to do an IDP show. Hopefully we can start doing them more consistently in the next couple of weeks, especially with the season coming up. Hopefully. I mean, that's about all we can ever do is hope. But how you been, bud?
Good. We're getting really close, man. Getting really close. We almost had some preseason this weekend. We kind of got football blue balled Sunday night. Thank you to the Canton grounds crew there.
Yeah,
but it's getting really close, man.
I was missing it altogether. I ended up going to the hospital on Sunday, getting my back acted up, and then they put me on super good meds. So I was knocked the fuck out for football.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
Nah. But I'm finally getting an MRI, so super stoked.
Woohoo!
All right, well, I guess we should probably talk about, like, football and shit now. Nobody really died that matters. Julian Edelman's old, and if you guys are listening to us, you probably don't have him. I think that's it. I don't think anybody else died. So
Ebron kind of died. Ebron's in limbo.
Yeah, Ebron went from totally, completely dead to kind of dead, which is good. A lot of us have Ebron, and by a lot of us, I mean everybody in the box group but me.
No Ebron for you?
It just didn't happen. I didn't like him enough last year to pay what he was going for, and I definitely didn't draft him in 2014. And
I liked him in last year's startups. Okay, around tight end 10-ish. Wasn't bad.
Yeah, but I was taking ASJ and Ladarius Green.
Fair enough.
If I was going tight end there, it normally didn't end up being Ebron. And I mean, it's not even that I have anything against him. It just never happened. But it looks good for all my Golden Tate shares. So,
well, those looked good anyway.
Yeah, they looking real good now. Amir Abdullah shares are looking better. And who's the tight end 3 in Detroit? Because Pettigrew's already dead.
Oh, I saw the depth chart. It's just a bunch of hacks, man.
I remember at one point it was Tim Wright.
Yeah, I don't even think I saw him on the depth chart. It's some dudes you've never heard of.
Yeah, no, Tim Wright's not in Detroit anymore. He's not in Detroit anymore. But yeah, let's jump right into our college player discussion for the week, because I'm pretty sure this is why anybody even listens, because we're the only ones that do it. Except for like Saturday to Sunday, non-fantasy podcasts do it. But man, I am super fucking rambly tonight. I don't know what's up with that. But let's do like stuff. So for our offensive prospect, we did Wayne Gallman. He is a redshirt junior running back out of Clemson. He's 6'1", 215, and he's going to be, 22 at the start of his rookie season. So, I mean, not super young for a running back, but not old by any means. So I really, really like Gallman's tape. Like, I like it a lot. I really don't have a ton of bad things to say about him other than he doesn't improvise well. He's very, very much like he'll take the play. He knows what he's supposed to do, and he will do that until he dies. He doesn't care if the gap is already filled. He's going to run right into that hole. And granted, he's still probably going to get a couple yards because he runs with some power. I mean, he knocks some dudes out, and I love that in his game. He doesn't avoid contact, which kind of falls in with that whole doesn't, change the hole if it's full. But he really just like rails into these guys. And I mean, he had 21 receptions for 213 yards, but you would think based on how his hands look, they need to be using him a lot more, especially when they've got, one of the best college quarterbacks in the game, and they're throwing for 4,000 yards a season. Gallman might just be getting underutilized in that regard, but this dude is a full 3-down back. His run blocking, his pass blocking are both excellent. I really want to see Gallman go to Carolina because I think his run blocking is going to get super underutilized unless he goes somewhere with a strong running quarterback, and it's not going to be Kaepernick. And Tennessee already got their guy. So I think he can have a nice relationship with Cam Newton starting next year. And I'm just super excited about this guy. Like, he's not that quick. And by not that quick, he's not quick at all. His top speed, not that fast. But there's just something exciting about him. He is what you want your power back to be. He kind of reminds me of Carlos Hyde without the speed. But I'm pretty excited about him. And I'm going to quit gushing now, and I'm going to let Tyler finish us off and move us on to our defensive player.
Yeah, I ain't got much. I mean, I was surprised. I didn't see the numbers. I'm surprised to hear that he only caught 21 balls because he looks very, very natural receiving, especially out in the flats over his shoulder. He tracks the ball well. He knows what he's doing. He's just a good football player. You don't see anything that, just makes your eyes pop out of your head, but then you don't see a lot of glaring negatives either. And he just kind of personifies why we like this class so much and why we think it's so deep, because if you're drafting today, he's probably getting out of the first round, which is crazy. I mean, he for a guy this good, he'd be an instant first rounder in this year's class, given all the trash that's out there. So, yeah, just a good football player and a really good offense. Excited to see him this year. Good size. Yeah, I said it before we went on. He kind of reminds me of Mike Davis when we liked Mike Davis. You watch Mike Davis tape and you're just like, this guy's pretty good. He doesn't do anything great. He doesn't do anything terrible. He's just kind of a good player. And that's kind of the player that he reminds me of. So, yeah, I mean, he's definitely a guy that we've got on our radar. So I ain't got much to say because running backs, I am terrible at them. But that's kind of what I think. I'm kind of in line with Drew there. So for the IDP guy, we're going to talk about Jarrad Davis, the big man, the linebacker from Florida, 6'2". I've seen him listed anywhere from 230 to 240. He's a true senior, so he's been around a while. Jarrad Davis is really, really high on a lot of guys' boards right now. Like Matt Miller's got him, I think, LB1 right now going in. I don't agree with that. I think he's a fine player. He's instinctive. He's really good with his first step if he breaks down the guards correctly. He gets a little bit lost when the guards get moving and on the traps and the counters and when they're pushing down, so he can get a little bit lost there. But he's instinctive. He's aggressive. He's incredibly aggressive. He will knock the crap out of a back. His closing speed is really nice. When the play is away, he can close down. When he comes on the blitz, which he does quite a bit, he can close. Make up those last 2 or 3 yards. On a prone QB or whatever the situation is, he closes really well. The thing he does the worst, and the thing that I just can't get past, and why I hesitate to put him in that top tier, is he is freaking awful when he gets in the trash. Absolutely terrible when he gets caught in the trash, which happens fairly regularly, especially if he's lined up a little bit outside. If he doesn't break it down correctly and get right in the gap before the blockers get there, they're going to put him on skates and push him around. And that's the one thing that really hangs on my craw about him, is once the lineman's got their hands on him, he has a very big problem stacking and shedding. Whereas Kendall Beckwith, who we looked at, who's a similar type backer, who we looked at a few weeks ago, if an offensive guard meets him, Kendall Beckwith kills him and has him for dinner. So there's a big difference there. He over pursues a little bit, gets a little bit over aggressive, but overall, I mean, a really nice linebacker. He's freaking huge, and we're going to find out what he's made of this year because that schedule is grueling. The list of backs that Jarrad Davis is going to face: Jalen Hurd, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook to close the season out. We're going to see what's going on because those guys are going to get in free space a little bit, and we're going to see if he can chase them down. We're going to see if he can cover them. We're going to see if he can hit them head on in the hole and bring Leonard Fournette or Jalen Hurd, who are huge running backs, if he can bring them down in one clean stop. So it's a really, really big season for him. But for right now, he is firmly behind McMillan and Beckwith for me, and not to mention a couple other guys that I like a little bit better at the moment.
Yeah, there's no way I could put this guy in that upper tier. Beckwith and McMillan are just completely separate levels of talent. I mean, I don't have a whole lot else. I don't have a whole lot more to say than what you did. I love his snap reaction speed. It's one of those things that I don't know why it's something I look for, but fuck, just words are not happening tonight. It's motherfucker. He has good snap reaction speed. There we go. He also hangs in coverage pretty well, though. Yeah, you're pretty much just asking him to do it against tight end or a running back. Yeah, I couldn't find anywhere he was really hanging with wide receivers. Granted, I didn't dig quite as much in the tape as I should have, considering I read Davis and decided to do Jarrell Adams instead. So I was playing catch up here before we went on. I like Jarrell Adams a lot. We're not going to do a breakdown on him, but I'm just so excited for this season and just this college season in general. There's so many good players out there. It feels like college football right now has as much talent as it has had in the last few years.
We had so many guys go back
that
we weren't expecting. We were expecting a lot of these guys to come out. I mean, both the guys we talked about just now could have come out this year and didn't.
Yep. Gallman could have been an RB3 this year.
Rather easily, I think. I mean, when we're talking, the Kenyon Drakes of the world are getting drafted that highly, I don't see any reason why Gallman wouldn't have.
I think we still need to mark down that Kenyon was a reach and that pro size.
Right, but I mean, RB3. Pro size. Well, I mean, but pro size. I mean, in the same vein, is pro size that much more qualified as that type of an RB than Gallman? I don't think so. Gallman went back to win a national title.
Yeah, dude, there are some really strong contending teams this year.
Oh, absolutely, but Clemson's right in the mix.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's got to be part of his decision-making process there. It just has to be. Where it's like Corey Davis, you're just like, fucking what? You went back to Central what? Why would you do that?
Is it Central Michigan? I can never remember what.
Central, Western, does it matter?
Direction Michigan.
Direction Michigan. Up there.
He's going back to try and make it to a BCS bowl game.
It's nuts, man. But yeah, we had so many guys go back on both sides of the ball. Beckwith, for that matter, could have come out. It's just, it's crazy, but it is stacking up to be a fucking fun rookie draft next year. I hope these guys all declare, man. I really do.
But yeah, the two guys we brought up earlier, Beckwith and McMillan, are both going back for title runs because OSU, LSU, Alabama, these guys are all in the mix. And God, I couldn't. If you had to say, hey, put money on this and you only have one pick, couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, it's really tight.
Alabama, but even
Alabama, it's just easy. It's like betting Tiger Woods versus the field.
Yeah.
Betting on Alabama lately anyway. They're just so stocked with NFL talent. It's disgusting.
I really did think Clemson was going to win it last year, though.
Just too many bodies, man. Alabama can just throw so many bodies at you on defense that there's nothing you can do because they are fresh all the time.
And they didn't even hardly lose anybody. Losing Ragland's not really that big a deal.
Yeah, because Foster's better.
Yep. I mean, who else?
Oh, Ragland's hurt. Ragland has a partially torn ACL or some shit.
Yeah, I heard about
that. By the
way,
this is a good chance for me to make a public service announcement. For the love of God, I've already seen it twice in leagues where first come, first serve is open right now. Do not go at Brandon Spikes, man. Don't do it. Just save it for something else. Brandon Spikes is going to play 2 downs. A lot of times he's going to play 1. Depending on the situation, he may not play any. For the love of God, do not go at Brandon Spikes off your waiver wire. Please.
I had a guy DM me say that he added Brown, and I'd rather do that than add Spikes.
Brown should have been rostered anyway. I mean, Brown's been pretty good. He's good enough that he's going to be on the field and he's going to accumulate stats. The guys you want are Corey Graham and Aaron Williams. Those are the guys that are going to feed while Ragland's out. Brown's going to get his. All right, Brown's going to have his tackles. He's going to be an LB2-ish type. Brandon Spikes is not. I can't wait. It used to happen way back when you go to see your opponent's lineup and you see Brandon Spikes on the opposite side and you're like, fucking cool. Yeah, groovy. He's going to get 7 tackles, maybe. So yeah. Anyway, I kind of went off track there, but
screw it. I mean, why not? And with that, let's move into kind of an idea that you wanted to do for the show. It's a good short-term buy for offense and for defense. And I'll let you kick us off because I'm assuming you already got some guys in mind.
not really, but why not? It's going to be old guys. I bought Adrian Peterson today on a little bit of a discount. Drew doesn't like the trade I made, but Drew doesn't like any old people, and he has a very, very hard time being objective about it. So AP is a decent little buy, depending on who owns him.
That's not completely fair. After you told me what the team looks like and you're absolutely pushing for this year, I can get down with the trade. But there are few circumstances where I can advocate giving up the farm for grandpas.
I didn't give up the farm.
AJ
Green is not grandpa. I got AJ Green in the deal too.
Yeah, but AJ Green's 28?
You're losing your mind.
AJ Green's not old yet, but his value's got nowhere to go but down.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And people are already overreacting on him early anyways.
It's getting a little weird. It's been a little weird with AJ Green.
Really, if any of them were going to drop, to me it would be Dez. With the injury and Tony being a broke dick. I mean, DT's already dropped. We've already signed that one away. But I would think that Dez would drop easier than AJ. Green does nothing wrong. He does the same thing every year, and it's win. I mean,
yeah, I saw a tweet. I forget who tweeted this, but Odell Beckham Jr. has as many 100-yard games in his career as Dez Bryant does. What?
Oh, yeah, I believe that.
That's nutty. I mean, you really think? I mean, Dez is...
You're drafting Dez for the touchdowns.
Yeah, the touchdowns. It's crazy. But anyway, Adrian Peterson's a guy that I like to go get for cheap. Danny Woodhead's nice and cheap. Quarterbacks, you could probably get Drew Brees for a song in a 1 QB league. A lot of this is going to depend on who owns the guys. Defense, Derek Johnson, head of the list. Every year that Derek Johnson's healthy, he's an LB1, and he's been healthy. There are just so many guys out there. Eric Weddle, great get on the cheap right now. Barry Church. There are just several guys that I've been banging the table for. But now's the time. If you have the depth, it's time to, you're making a push. You can solidify your starting lineup right now, and you want to do it a little bit cheaply. Going out and getting Todd Gurley, that's all fine and good. I mean, that's great. Go get Todd Gurley, but you're going to have to pay through the nose for Todd Gurley. Whereas you may not have to sell the farm for LaShawn McCoy or Jamal Charles or someone like that can help you get over the top. So I've been doing a little bit of that recently and vice versa. On the teams where I'm not going to be competitive, coming up, I'm moving those older guys that are only going to, hurt my draft stock in 2017 by making me win a few games that I shouldn't win. So it goes both ways. But now's the time of year where I'm getting that starting lineup locked and loaded, ready for week 1, and I got no problem buying some old guys.
Yeah, you brought up Jamal Charles. If I'm paying up for any old man running back right now, it's Charles. I think he's going to have a huge bounce back season next year, and if he finishes at the RB1, I wouldn't be shocked in the least. I mean, he's just a transcendent fucking talent. He's not even that old, is he?
I think he's like 28 or 29. Man.
Yeah, I mean, he's old for running backs, but I mean, compared to the other old man running backs, he's not really that old.
Shady's the youngest of them, the guys we consider to be washed. That's another guy who could push for RB1.
Yeah, especially with how the running backs are shaping up behind him. And if Watkins isn't healthy to go week 1, which it's looking like he's supposed to be, it could just be the LaShawn McCoy show.
Exactly, but even a healthy Watkins and a Greg Roman offense is going to get it's going to have a hard time seeing, 8 to 10 targets a game. They're going to pound the rock. So
oh, an old man defensive player we need to all be picking up is Rob Ninkovich.
He died today.
Yeah, he tore some triceps. That's gotta fucking suck.
Yeah, and he was more or less a non-factor in IDP.
Yeah, he had that 124, the 2014 season, and it's I mean that was really just almost a fluke, really.
Yeah, they were gonna. I mean, he's always been a really, really good player, a good football player that hadn't necessarily translated to the box score. They were going to use him all over the place. And if you go look at the Patriots' defensive depth chart, the front seven depth there's nothing there. It's Malcolm Brown, it's Jabal Sheard, you got Hightower and Collins, and then it's bad, man. I just don't have the depth there. So Nink was a really important part for them as far as what they're going to do with him. They're going to move him all over the place like they always have. They run so many weird sets. But I could almost see in my mind's eye Jamie Collins doing a little bit more as far as coming off the edge this year because they just don't have the bodies there. Sheard is their only real edge guy. So I can see Collins bouncing around, doing a lot more because he's incredibly versatile. I mean, he was an edge guy coming in anyway. So I don't know if that makes me want to – I don't know if that makes me want to fade him or go buy him. I have no idea what to do with Collins. Never have.
No, he's one of those guys that's still he's the multi-tool guy we've been talking about. Instead of playing, linebacker, safety, nickel corner, he can play anywhere on the line. He can not on the line. He can play any linebacker position. He can rush the edge if he needs to. He can do all those things. That's a lot of his appeal.
Yeah, he's a nice player. I'm afraid we're going to see him over the tight end a lot this year, a lot more over the tight end this year, which not necessarily a good thing.
No, I'm not super optimistic for him this year, but as a long-term call,
he's fucking good.
Yeah, he's
as good a football player as there is in the NFL, right?
That's fun for me to watch because that's a guy that I hit on. Like everybody else, yeah, I don't know who this is. And he was in the second round to the one defense that was going to use him right because he was super raw coming out. He had to be coached up. And thank God he went somewhere that had the defensive-minded coaches, that had the ability to develop talent because he could be a name no one knows right now if he goes to the Browns or if he goes to Cincinnati. They haven't developed haven't developed a player at linebacker since. If you don't count Burfict, the Burfict was nuts coming out.
Yeah, Burfict was a tackle machine all through college.
They didn't have to do shit there.
Yeah.
Ugh. But I really can't think of any other old guys I'm super interested. Fitz, if you can get him cheap, would be. That's a gamble for me because he could end up having a really good season. Or he could just blow it. But I mean Carson Palmer's going to chuck it.
Fitz is so weird for me. Well, 2013, he was caught a bunch of touchdowns.
Yeah.
2014, he was
dead. He was dead.
And then 2015, he catches 105 balls. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't think he broke 500 yards in 2014.
It was bad, man.
It was so bad. People are like, "Yeah, I'm still drafting Fitz in 2015." I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?"
I wasn't drafting him in redraft last year.
Oh yeah,
I was wrong.
We were definitely wrong. But what else is new?
Yeah, I mean the old guys. What you got? Like Vincent Jackson. I know outside of best ball formats, I don't want anything to do with VJax. There's not a lot going on at wide receiver because all the talent is young right now, or is Julio, AJ Dez, Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
pretty much. So
yeah, there's probably more old people out there, but we didn't prepare well enough for this segment, so that's all you get. But we'll move on to our first submitted question. It comes from our buddy Tim at Tim NFL, who we probably need to have him back on the show fairly soon because that one we had a blast with that show. And he wants us to know, tell us how we started playing football and then IDP. And he said he was curious. I'm assuming he means playing fantasy football because besides playing a little bit on deployments, I haven't played football a day in my life. At least not like on a team or nothing. And we know, you were the jock in high school. You played, but I was too busy doing ROTC, wearing a uniform and spinning rifles and being a military nerd, I guess, is the way to put it. But in terms of fantasy football, I had no idea how much of a thing it was until I, left home, until I got in the military, and I started doing leagues with the guys I was stationed with. And it kind of progressed slowly. I did, one work league for like 2 or 3 years. And then I went overboard and jumped in a bunch of just the NFL. Here's some league with randos. I did a bunch of those. I think 2011, I did my first 2 keeper leagues, and I stayed in those for a few years. I did my first Dynasty League in 2012, I want to say, but I think I only did one. And then 2013, I picked up another. And then 2014 is when it blew up. I went from 2 or 3 leagues to, how many did we finish that season with? 10?
Something like that.
It was ridiculous. 2013 was my first year I did IDP, but it was one of those leagues with randos, dipping my toe in, start a podunk lineup with shitty scoring. And then my next foray into IDP was I was commissioning it, just making up the scoring off the top of my head. And it wasn't bad scoring, but it's nowhere near as good as the scoring we ended up using in an NPLB, stuff like that. But I mean, it's not horrible scoring. And yeah, that's it. And then I've been playing Dynasty ever since. And I eventually cut out keeper and redraft, except this year I'm going to be doing a keeper or a redraft league with a bunch of nerds from home and be stomping them out. That'll be fun.
Be dominating.
One of the guys thinks he knows fantasy pretty well, and like I'm telling him like, I drafted Mike Evans and Jameis Winston in the first 2 rounds in a 2 QB, and he's like, Jameis Winston's horrible. I'm like, well, can't wait to meet you. I'm gonna draft Winston specifically.
just to show him. Yeah, I don't know. The fantasy for me, it's weird because, I played football in high school, blah, blah, blah. My dad calls me the frustrated high school athlete. That's why I'm so into fantasy, because I'm trying to fulfill those competitive urges. But I didn't play fantasy. Yeah, I didn't play fantasy for a long time. I think I got in 2011. So, I mean, I'm relatively new to fantasy compared to some of these guys. Like Scott Fish invented the first Dino League in like 1995. And I hear that and I'm like, Jesus H, dude, these dudes are hardcore. I mean, they've been playing forever. But
they make me feel like a scrub.
Oh, yeah. But it was the home league. It was all my buddies that I played football with and went to school with. I've known these guys since elementary school. I'm from a small hometown. And they said, well, Nate dropped out, so we need somebody to pick up the home league. Can you draft? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll come home, get some good food, draft, blah, blah, blah. So I showed up at the home league draft, and I have no idea what's going on. Somebody puts a cheat sheet in front of me, and I'm like, all right, I kind of know who some of these guys are. And it took all of 2 picks for me to be just completely obsessed and immersed in it. I mean, I took to it like a fish to water and just have loved it ever since. My first Dino League I picked up that summer after the season ended. It was an IDP, full IDP. I picked up an orphan from a buddy that I had met, and I guess that's just it. The IDP, I naturally gravitated towards the IDP. I didn't even know it was a thing because defense has always been my thing. That's what I played. That's what I love. That's the type of players I like to watch. I was always much, much, much more of a college fan than an NFL fan. I've always been an NFL fan, rooting for the Broncos, but I never just made Sundays of just watching football. And, if the Broncos weren't playing on Thursday or Monday night, I probably didn't even care all that much. So it's always been about college for me. So I think that's why Dynasty appealed to me more than redraft, because of that. I could actually take these guys that I've been watching all these years in college and put them on my fantasy team, which is cool. So the rest is curtains. Drew and I met in about 2014. It would have been the winter of 2014, and that was curtains after that, man. That's all she wrote.
It was the beginning of the 2014 off season.
It was ball game after that. I went from 2 Dynasty leagues to, shit got out of control, and now
we fed each other's addictions so bad.
Yeah, it's out of control. But I mean, how many good friends do we have out there? I mean,
shit ton.
Dozens of cool people that I would not have otherwise met outside of the Dynasty community, and even guys that we knew really well before we even got on Twitter. I mean, I was barely even on Twitter.
I remember trying to drag you onto Twitter in the early days of the show.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm good. I mean, I had a Twitter account. I just like followed Adam Schefter and whatever. So, I met so many people along the way. But yeah, it's just a way to compete. I love it. It was natural for me to be in it. I don't know why I didn't want to. I just didn't. It just seemed, I honestly thought it seemed dumb. Like fantasy, it's called fantasy. No, man, I don't want to do that crap. And they're like, you got to try it. And that's that.
It's funny you bring about the same reason you started doing Dynasty, is you watch all this college football. Where for me, even when I wasn't playing fantasy football, I loved the draft. I loved scouting players, all that stuff. It's why for the longest time I'm like, I'm gonna go be a scout. I'm gonna figure out what it takes. And one thing happened and another thing happened, and that's not happened. That's not in the cards anymore. But I've always loved doing it, and I would see these guys, and I'm like, he's going to be really good in the pros. He's landing in a good situation. He's going to be the shit. And most of your redraft guys don't really know this stuff, but I would always draft them too early. Especially in just the straight up redraft leagues. It's like, yeah, let me draft this rookie real quick. Well, that was a waste of a pick. And then I started doing keeper, and I'm like, yeah, let me draft this guy real quick. Oh, but I can only keep 4 guys, and I've already got good guys to keep. So even if he's ended up being a really good pick, he might be one guy I keep. So when they're like, yeah, just Dynasty, you just get to keep him. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that now.
I dabbled in keeper and quickly found out I did not like it. I didn't like having to make those decisions.
Honestly, the thing that ruined one of my keeper leagues for me, I had just this stack of, I think I had 4 or 5 keepers I could keep that year. And these guys were ready to go off. I had a ton because we did an auction draft every year. I had probably $30, $40 more than the next guy, and I was just gonna be able to get who I wanted. And work held me late, and I was 5 minutes late to the auction draft. I got auto bid up probably 85% of my budget on Arian Foster and Ray Rice in whatever the last season Ray Rice played in.
13 when he was trash.
He was not good.
And Arian
Foster
died.
that year was not good. So I just watched all my shit go away. I'm like, y'all couldn't have paused and let me show up.
They're like 5 seconds.
Like, nah, fuck you, dog. I'm like, well, great. I hate all of you.
They were buttholes. And
I still almost won that year. If I had, I'd just pissed on everything. I don't know where everything is, but I would have gone and pissed on it. I was mad. It's 3 years later. I'm still mad.
I can hear it in your voice. That's great. All right, so that's enough about boring us.
Yeah.
Next question. Next question from our buddy Joey at Jojo L Mags. You guys need to be following Joey on Twitter. He's got a blog that's awesome. Joey's a little bit more of a deep thinker with the fantasy, and I like it. And Joey definitely describes to our "don't be a butthole" theory. So one of the good guys. He wants to know about donuts. Which donuts are good prospects for drafting into my gullet? I like the way he framed that question. I like a blueberry cake donut. That's my 101. Drew's probably not going to agree with me. He's probably going to call it smoking, but a blueberry cake donut, gimme.
It's not smoking. I'm all about some cake donuts. In fact, my 101 is a form of a cake donut, but I've only ever been able to find it at the Dunkin' Donuts, and it is a chocolate cake donut with chocolate frosting. And it's a double chocolate donut, and it's pretty much amazing. I love it. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Krispy Kreme cream filled. Chris Rock said it 20 years ago. It's got crack in it. And I believe him. He's right. Boston cream, also excellent. Can't go wrong with a chocolate sprinkle.
Okay, have you ever had and not some of these weird donuts, people are putting bacon and shit in donuts. That's just weird. Don't do that. But have you ever had a bad sweet donut? One
yes.
that you're just that's not good. Really?
Yes.
I can't
I've had bad glazed donuts.
I got a little bit of a hot take. I do not enjoy Krispy Kremes. I don't like them. Yeah.
I like certain Krispy Kreme donuts. I like their cream filled. I like their Boston cream, and I like their cinnamon bun. Sometimes they put out like special ones. I like some of those, but like a normal glazed Krispy Kreme, I'm a pass on. Jelly filled. I like jelly filled donuts, but not when Krispy
Hell
Kreme
yeah.
does it.
Jelly filled donuts where it's at, man.
And you know why I don't like Krispy Kreme? Most of the Krispy Kreme donuts, if I can't tell what it is because I remember I was probably about 12 years old. Somebody brought donuts for the class. I was so excited. I'm like, let me get this Boston cream filled donut right here. I took it back to my desk, I sat down, and it was fucking lemon.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with lemon.
Lemon is horrible.
Delicious.
Woat.
The woat.
Lemon is woat.
The woat.
I'm telling you, this is half my life ago, and I still remember that shit. I still remember biting into it, and I'm just like, man.
You weren't ready. You weren't prepared.
Oh, I was grumpy, dude. Oh.
That's good.
All right, and we're going to do EC a favor. We're not going to spend too long on sweets. We'll move on to, like, football, I guess. And our next question comes from @FantasyOutlaw, another guy you definitely need to be following. What player do you dislike now that has the best chance to win my affections in 2016? That is a weird fucking question. I don't know how I feel about it. I think the best one would be old boy's name that I cannot think of right now. Wide receiver 2 in Carolina. Funches. I don't like Funches right now. I think he's blocked. I think he does everything that Benjamin does, but just not as good. But if he breaks out and he becomes the one, I'm a big fan of Funch then. I think that's probably the best one for me.
I like Funch. This one's easy for me. It's Denzel Perryman. That's easy for me. I've gone on a full pendulum with Perryman. I loved him in the live games, and I started watching tape, and I really disliked him. And then I watched the preseason, and I really, really, really disliked him. And then he comes on at the end of the year like gangbusters. And I guess I'm just being stubborn because I'm like, nah, he's just not good. He's pretty fucking good. He's the guy that I could see me doing a complete 180 on, depending on what he does this year. I could see him really ascending. The opportunity is there. He is talented as all hell. He got so much better at the things that I didn't like, out of his tape. He got just infinitely better towards the end of last season. So he's the guy for me that I could really see. I hate him now, but I could love him in a few months. And it's tough to do that. When if you're ever just dead wrong on a guy, and especially with Drew and I mean, I don't know how many people listen to us, but we're putting our opinions just out there, just laying it on the table. And I say, I just flat ass hate a guy and I'm wrong. Yeah, it's not good. Or when I just love a guy and he's bad, like Paul Dawson. Paul Dawson is a backup to a backup's backup right now. And it rips my heart out because, I went out there and said, go buy Paul Dawson. I was pounding the freaking table.
At least you followed it up with a buy Jordan Hicks, so that worked out.
Yeah, I don't know. And I said, don't buy Perryman. Whatever you do, don't buy Perryman, and that could blow up in my face. So
I want you to think of an offensive player because I'm going to do a defensive player as well.
An offensive player that I don't like.
I'll do my defensive one so you can think. I think the guy for me is going to be Noah Spence, who I don't hate his talent at all. I just think he's not capable of playing as an end. I think he's built. I think his skill set is suited to play as a 3-4 outside linebacker. But if he plays well as an end at his size this year, I could completely flip on him. I could be a huge fan of Spence's. But right now, it's not me hating on the talent, but I just don't think he can play where they've got him.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. For offense, man, it's hard. I don't want to. There's not many young guys out there that I don't at least like a little bit. I kind of think of like guys like Macklin and Doug Martin, but they're already so entrenched and older that I just don't even care.
Yeah, they're not guys that are going to
come out and light it up, and I could give zero shits.
Doug Martin did it last year, and you still give zero shits.
And I still don't want anything to do with him. John Brown. I guess John Brown. I like John Brown as a 2014 rookie. I liked him in startups, getting him in the late teens. I liked him in rookie drafts, getting him in the 3rd and 4th round. And then the hype train fired up last year, and I still think it's a little bit out of control. Honestly, I do. I think he's a fine player. He's just not the type of fantasy asset that I really go after. You know, a little wide receiver in a crowded core to me just doesn't scream consistency. But he was pretty consistent, and I mean, if he goes out and points up again this year, it's going to be hard for me to just stay hating him. You know, I hate to hate players, but I don't know. Something about the guy. Just last summer, I just didn't want anything to do with him at all.
I love to hate some players. Like Devonta Freeman. And part of the reason I can hate him is because of the hype. But I've hated Freeman since day one, so whatever. I mean, I love how much people are in love with Freeman. It's allowed us to get
Hyde.
Not Hyde. His buddy in Atlanta.
Oh, Tevin?
Tevin.
You get Tevin for nothing now.
Exactly. We took Tevin and E-Bud, didn't we?
Yeah.
We got him for free.
For $9 out of $1,000, I think.
Yeah, it might have been 18, but even then, I mean, it was fucking nothing. Pennies.
Yeah.
And Tevin is going to beat out I almost called the other one Coleman. I already forgot the other one.
Freeman.
Jesus, what is wrong with me tonight? I can see
know.
Tevin just straight up beating out Freeman. Even if it's a split, I see the carry percentage going in Tevin's favor.
It's at least has the potential to even out. I mean, Freeman was so good on 3rd down last year. He caught so many balls. But I like Tevin for cheap, and that's really about all I want.
As a pass catcher, sure. Not Freeman. Jesus. What's his name? Help me again.
Tevin Coleman?
No, the other one.
Devontae Freeman.
Jesus. Coleman. Freeman was great on 3rd down. He was great pass catching. But guess what Coleman can do? Fucking catch passes like a champ. I mean, Freeman's stats were so overrated because his line just did magic. I can't even explain what they did. But the guy wasn't getting contact for 7-8 yards. And as soon as somebody touched him, he's like, oh, what's up, dirt?
He was still pretty good, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't bad. I'm not hating on him as a talent. I'm willing to concede where I evaluated him as a prospect, he is better than that. But he is not the running back a lot of people are making him out to be either. He's somewhere in the middle, but
it's one of those deals that, you can call him a top 5 running back, but you better not draft him as such. Right? Does that make sense?
That's exactly right.
Like, if you're taking him in the 3rd round of a startup, that just screams landmine to me.
Yep. And believe me, if anyone knows landmines, it's Tyler and I. Patterson, Michael Floyd.
We've stepped in a few.
Nelson Aguilar.
Aguilar's going to be okay.
He's going to be okay if that offense is okay.
Did you hear he's getting a bunch of buzz the last few days? Jalen Strong is getting a ton of buzz right now. You know, you talk about the drum beat that you hear in the offseason. You hear it once, you don't think anything about it. You hear it twice, you're like, okay, what's going on? Well, that drum's been beaten about 50 times now. Evidently, he has had a rock star camp. And Will Fuller's looked really good, too. So, boy, if Jalen Strong comes on and does stuff, I'm going to be super happy because that had the potential to be a massive miss for me.
Oh,
massive.
Yeah. I mean, we had him pre-draft at wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Not you, we. And I can blame you because I went in and watched him. I'm like, this guy's going to be hype. And I totally bought into it. And then we bumped him down. We still had him as like a borderline first-round pick even after he went to the third round.
Oh, yeah. Even after everything went wrong, I was still taking him about 110.
Yeah. We were out of
I've got him. Lines. I counted today. I have him on 13 of 21 teams.
Not bad.
Woo, that is heavy exposure. Anyway, all right, let's move on. We got our buddy Sticky at Adam TZ without using the words, and these are some of our favorite words.
Good words.
turd, poop, shit, or dog, please describe the Eagles' offense fantasy football outlook for the year of 2016. I'm going to use the word I think that like E and several H's. I think that makes sense. I have no idea. None.
Legit, I think it's got real potential. I think everybody's just, putting them to death because their quarterback situation is exactly But Wentz didn't go 102 because doesn't have potential. If Wentz does even anything remotely good for a rookie quarterback, this offense could be looking really strong. And I think people are really not giving Ryan Matthews the respect he deserves. I mean, he was a first-round pick. No. Not
Get
for fantasy
the fuck
football.
out.
Not
now,
for
Ryan
fantasy
Matthews is a good player. He is good running back.
If he does not break,
that son of a bitch will break. Period.
If he does not break, he is one of the better running backs in the league.
If you could guarantee me 10 games of Ryan Matthews' health, I'm all over it because he is fantastic. And last year versus DeMarco, if they had just said, DeMarco, go sit on the damn bench, we're going to give the ball to Ryan Matthews would have been an RB1 last year. He was just fit for that offense. And when he ran the ball, he was tremendous. He will break.
I really think –
period.
I think picking up DeMarco in free agency was the death knell for Chip Kelly. I think if Chip Kelly had either kept Shady or done something with Ryan Matthews and Sproles and brought in another guy, we might still be talking about Chip Kelly as the Eagles head coach right now. I think spending as much as he did on DeMarco was what killed him. That and Kiko, but
no, that didn't even matter. That didn't matter.
In the grand scheme of things, it really didn't. But
I'm sorry. I don't mean to get ranting on Ryan Matthews. I think he is just fantastic. But how many times has a guy got to break your heart before you just go, enough is enough?
It's funny. Like, as much as I say, I love the talent, I never drafted him. Like, as a redraft guy, I never drafted him.
Well, I did.
I always felt like it was a trap, and granted, I was right. But
yeah. They have some pieces that you like. We love Jordan Matthews, right?
Oh yeah.
We love Nelson Aguilar. We love Zach Ertz. But it's just kind of, how is this thing going to come together?
Yeah, there's a lot.
More than likely, it's going to be a middle of the road, middling offense.
I think we're going to see fairly similar numbers from Jordan Matthews. I think he's going to be a mid wide receiver 2. I think Aguilar is going to flirt with wide receiver 3 numbers this year. Sproles will still catch way too many balls for a 34-year-old man, 35. I loved Aaron Sproles, dude, but I have no idea how he's still doing. I know how he's still doing it is because he didn't get hit for the first 8 years of his career. He's a friggin'. And then they got Wendell Smallwood, who's apparently doing the same shit Sproles does. They're going to be splitting up targets bad. Ertz is not going to be a top 5 or 6 tight end this year. But I think if Wentz shows well, I think you give him a second year. I think 2017 we could be looking at pretty strong offensive production.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I mean, the talent, the pieces are there. It's just so difficult to even try to predict what it's going to look like. I mean, you can try to extrapolate what Peterson did in Kansas City to Philadelphia, saying, Jordan Matthews isn't going to play the Macklin role. That would be Aguilar who will play the Macklin role in the offense. What's that going to look like? I don't know. Ertz versus Kelsey. Kelsey was pretty freaking effective last year and had a massive market share for a tight end. I mean, a really nice market share of targets for tight ends. So there's no reason why. I mean, Ertz, you could practically book him as a tight end 1, which doesn't mean a whole lot. There's a wide gap there. But, Ertz is still definitely a guy that I want to own in Dynasty and do. You just don't know when it's going to come. But it's just such a bizarre deal. And I think is Bradford still there, right?
Yeah.
God, what a shithead. What a shithead.
I love how he got his panties on a bunch. Like, I can't believe they drafted a quarterback. I'm not gonna come to camp. Like,
why would they do that?
Yeah, I want to get traded. Why? So you can go be in a quarterback competition somewhere else. I mean, you haven't earned shit. You got drafted 5 years ago and have sewn together probably 25 starts in 5 years, maybe a little bit better than that. In that time, even in that time, besides your rookie year, what have you really done?
Fucking garbage.
I hate that I'm having to talk about Sam Bradford with you because I hate him, but you loathe him. I'm one of those people that I feed off of the energy of the people around me. So I totally feed into that loathing, and it just the cycle.
It's a bad environment. It's a bad environment.
It is not.
We have fostered here.
All right, so our next question comes from our buddy at Big Fat Bob, who's not so big fat anymore. His first question is, he wants a price check on Dez and Demaryius Thomas. Sold both recently and wants, I'm not sure what the end of that sentence says, but I'm sure he just wants an idea of what our thoughts are on their value. Dez, to me, is still like a late first startup pick. He's easily a top 15 player. I'm not taking him in a startup because 27, and there's too many players in that range I like. But there's probably 8 wide receivers I'd take over him, and that's about it. DT is a third-round startup pick for me at best. There's probably 15 to 20 wide receivers I would take over DT in a startup. If I'm in a competing team, I'm keeping Dez. I'm probably keeping DT, but I'm still selling him for probably a late second startup pick, maybe third if I can get it. Just because I don't even know that he's going to be that good with Sanchez or Lynch or whatever happens there. Because even Simons, or however the hell you say his name, is apparently not looking bad. And granted, DT did things with Tebow. DT did things with Kyle Orton. I get it, but DT wasn't 29 years old when that happened.
Right. That was DT run after the catch, Demaryius Thomas, where he catches the ball and is out.
Now we're just hoping for a catch.
Right. Yeah. DT was rough last year. And, of course, I'm a Broncos fan. And do I think he's still got a couple wide receiver 1 seasons left in him? Sure. Yeah. Do I think it's probable? Maybe. I don't know. DT is clearly out of that elite tier, what we had a few years ago with Julio and Dez and AJ and blah, 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 blah. DT is the one that's fallen off the hardest. Dez, I'm right in lockstep with Drew on Dez, because the whole deal with Dez is he's a fantastic player, but in a startup, you're going to give me the choice between Keenan Allen and Dez. I'm taking Keenan Allen. Give me the choice between Brandon Cooks and Dez. I'm taking Brandon Cooks. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's what I'm doing. I'm going to take those several extra years of what I consider to be, I could get close to Dez production, if not better, out of guys that are way younger. I'm going to take the younger guy. So they're both good players, but if you're getting out now and you're not, making a championship run, you're probably getting out at the right time, I think. So, yeah, I'm right with you. So Bob also wants to know how our diets are going. Bob, I'm not doing so good, Bob. What's killing me?
All right, you gotta start that over. Say that again. You said after you said I'm not doing so good, you broke up.
My bad. Yeah, I'm not doing so great. It's the Cokes, the sodas. I love them. I'm just hopelessly addicted to them. And dieting is a fucking bitch, right? It's not that the food is bad. I like the food. Doesn't bother me a bit. It's going to the freaking store and make sure you have fresh produce.
It's more work.
Yeah, it's a lot more work, and it's just I rack a discipline.
Oh, definitely rack a discipline.
I've still done pretty good keeping the cookies and shit out of the house, but
I was doing well, and then the whole move started. And when that happened, I went completely off the wagon. First of all, because we weren't in the house half the time. Couldn't buy more food because, well, shit, if we buy it, we're going to have to move it, and that's a pain in the ass. Or at least that's the excuse I used. And it was time-consuming, which is another part of the problem with eating healthier. I'm on the go. I'm trying to do stuff, trying to get this done. The whole process took a week. I drove 2,000 miles. There was plenty of times where I'm stopping and I'm getting food from the gas station. Oh, look what they have at the gas station. Bag of Hostess donuts. Eating all of those. God, that is the one thing I've cut out in the last couple of weeks since we got here, that was like it would get me bad. I would get these bags, and there's supposed to be like 6 servings in that bag, and I would just, by the time I got wherever I was going, I'm like, oh, no more donuts. Oh. And I would rationalize it in my head. I'm like, they're chocolate donuts, and I can't bring them in wherever I'm going. If I leave them in the truck, I mean, it's a bazillion degrees outside. They're going to melt, and that's wasteful. You can't be wasteful. So I better eat them all. And Tyler is trying to talk to me, but no words are coming through. So that's not good. Tyler, check your mic. But while Tyler has to fix that, I'm going to continue to talk about why I fail. I already lost words. Yeah, soda's been bad when you're driving that much, drinking a ton of energy drinks, ton of extra caffeine. That's not good for you. Yeah, it's bad news. I'm starting to get back on the water. I was drinking a lot of Smart Water before, and partly because I like the bottles. I like that they pop open. That's super convenient. So I picked up a couple. I'm going to start filling them up from home with the Brita filter, and hopefully I can stop drinking as much soda. I plan on probably not getting another 12-pack after this one, but I probably will anyways. But yeah, so diet's not going so good. I've been fluctuating in weight way too much. I've gone from like 222 to like 208 back and forth in the last couple of weeks, and that's not healthy at all.
It bees what it bees.
They don't think it be like it is, but it do.
But it do. All right. We got a couple questions from our buddy Brian Mullins at Formorians. Has Spencer Ware stolen red zone touches from Charles? Also says, great job on the IDP playbook, by the way. The IDP playbook we did last week. It's one of my favorite shows we've ever done. Has Spencer Ware really stolen? Good. Yeah, it really was. Has Spencer Ware stolen red zone looks from Charles? No. My gut says hell no. Will he get a few? Probably. Do you want to just outright own Spencer Ware? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. If he gets red zone looks, it's not because they were stolen, but it's just because they're spreading them around a little bit. And he's not stealing anything at all.
Yeah, Charles is the man. He also says Alec Ogletree is sitting on a league mate's taxi squad. How do I steal him away without showing my hand? It says typically if I say I'm interested, the price triples, or a player is not for sale. Why is Ogletree on this dude's taxi squad? First off, the taxi squad rules need to be a little bit cleaner there because he's been in the league for several years. Taxi squad should be for first, maybe second year guys. How do you steal him away? Package. Throw the dude a package deal. Throw Ogletree in there. That's how you do it. You make it look like you're looking for somebody else, and then you get Ogletree.
Yeah.
So Ogletree is, for me, I will not be even in the least bit surprised the one this year.
Say that last part again. You wouldn't be the least.
Damn it! So I wouldn't be the least. It came out.
It got compressed and it went really fast.
I said I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Ogletree finishes as the linebacker one this year. Yeah, I think it's right there for the taking. He is that good, and you forget he's been in the league a while. Alec Ogletree is 23 years old. 23.
I think the only way it makes sense that Alec Ogletree is still in this guy's taxi squad is if he drafted him, and it's one of those leagues where you can put him on as a rookie and you can leave him on that taxi squad as long as you want, but as soon as you take him off, they're off forever. And actually, I kind of like that because that's the best way to do it, where you actually develop the talent. Like, I've got a 1 QB league, but I've got 10 taxi squad spots. I drafted Garrett Grayson. I'm like, I'm going to stick him on here. Eventually something will happen, or it won't. And if it doesn't, fucking who cares? But in terms of like trying to make the trade, I tried that same move a couple days ago. One of my leagues, and trying to pick up a sleeper that I'll tell y'all all about next week once all my waivers have cleared. But so I send him like a deal with some bigger name players, and I'm like, hey, give me this little guy right here too. And he's rejects, and his only response is, I don't want to move the bigger name player. And I'm like, well, fuck. I didn't like anybody else on your roster. And I do not want to come out and just say, hey, give me this little guy, because then you're going to think something's up and you won't give him to me.
Yeah, that's the way that goes on the IDP side.
It's not even an IDP sleeper.
Really?
Yep.
Hey, even better. God knows who it is. Yeah, I do that on the IDP side. I've been trying to move Jamison Crowder for a safety in a league for I can't even get a freaking safety that I want. It's just like, nope, you can't have him. And I'm like, come on.
Well, I mean, who wants Jamison Crowder anyways? He's like the wide receiver 4 on the team.
But he's a wide receiver that has some numbers and a little bit of buzz. I'm like, you know how people are. You know how people are with defensive backs. There's like, I don't even want them. I don't even need them. Give them to me. I do want them.
Unless they're Tim and it's Killebrew and he won't trade them to you.
Why would you? I mean, Killebrew's buried anyway. Whatever.
Killebrew is going to get points this year.
You think?
Yep. I sure do.
I did like Killebrew.
His tape is nice.
Yeah, he's a good player, and there are tackles to be had over there in Detroit because Levy is dead.
How? I'm glad I never jumped on the Levy train. I don't know why I never did, but I was on it. And I mean, I acquired him right before that 2014 season in 2 different leagues. I was like, yeah, he's a good player. He's been a good player. And then 14, he just went nuts. Just went off. I mean, had one of those Darryl Washington type seasons where he's just making plays everywhere. Now he's dead. And we do refer to injuries as you're either dead or you're not dead. You can be kind of partially dead, but you're going to be more towards the dead side than the alive side. So Levy's dead. And you guys can take this as a certified authority. Tyler does have a PhD in Is He Dead?
Mm-hmm. I'll let you know. If you're curious, just holler. I'll let you know who's dead.
Dr. Douchebag. And let's see. Our last question comes, well, I take that back. We have 2 more questions. Our next question comes from @Tim Dynasty Red Zone. Take a side in the Bosa Gate. Who you with? I'm with Bosa, dude. I mean, people are going to say, oh, well, he needs to just shut up and play and prove himself. It's like, he could get broken tomorrow and never make a penny more. Like, I'm going to either fight to get every penny I can get or guaranteed money as much as I can get. These teams aren't hurting for money, and I'd be looking to suck every dollar out of them I can, especially I'm not siding with them because they're stealing my tax dollars to build their shitty stadiums. Like, fuck you guys. I'm not siding with you on anything.
After watching the way San Diego handled Eric Weddle,
yeah,
I got to think that whole front office is just a bunch of peckerheads.
They've all been a bunch of peckerheads.
Eric Weddle was their franchise. He was their best player for years, and nobody bled more for their team than Eric Weddle, and they just left him hanging out to dry. So fuck them.
They've been like this for years. I mean, they did it with Weddle. They did it with VJax. They told VJax to pound sand and went and picked up Robert fucking Meacham, who was fairly unproven, and went and showed why he did not deserve real wide receiver 1 money when you could have just given the wide receiver 1 money to VJax. They didn't want to pay Phillip Rivers when he wanted an extension because they were moving. Go back farther. They didn't want to pay Sproles. I mean, and that ended up biting him in the ass. Look how good Sproles has been since he left San Diego. They didn't want to pay Michael Turner to keep him on. They've been little shitheads forever.
They just like not winning titles and getting stomped out by the Broncos and the Chiefs with regularity.
They're about to start getting stomped out by the Raiders, too.
Raiders are a scary team right now as a Bronco fan in that division. Very, very scary team.
New Orleans is playing in week 1. I'm not excited. Well, let me rephrase that.
Points.
I'm super fucking excited because it's first week of football and it's going to be a good game. But as a guy who has hopes for the Saints to, go win another Super Bowl, as unlikely as it may be, we only have so much Drew Brees left. This does not feel like it's going to be a good start to the season.
We'll see.
So, I guess we'll hit up on our last question, which is actually another one from Fantasy Outlaw. He sent this to me in a DM actually like a week ago, and I think we missed out on it when we did the EC show because I forgot And it's going to be an IDP question, but I want to do it because it's a good question. Thoughts on the talented player A is going to eat into talented player B's tackles argument, i.e., Barron affecting Ogletree or Quan affecting David. Does that lower your value of either or both players? Almost never. I think it's the only situation in the NFL right now where I think that one player is going to eat into another player's, and it actually affects where I value them is Jacksonville. It's the only one. Every other one, like Quan and David, we beat into the ground Quan on the IDP playbook. His value is higher than what it should be. He is not the player he's being valued as. Barron eating into Ogletree. Barron was partly a product of the system and of there not really being another option at the time.
Ogletree wasn't even playing.
Right. And I mean, what McDonald got injured too last year, didn't he?
Right. There was nobody there. I mean, and Barron's a fine play.
But he's not going to eat into Ogletree's work, just like Hill's not going to eat into friggin' Charles's red zone looks. Or not Hill, Ware. Just like Ware isn't going to eat into Charles's red zone looks. You know, it can happen. It's rare.
I don't worry about this stuff at all. Like, at all. I barely care. Good players make plays. Good linebackers make tackles.
Sure. I take that back. Seattle.
But even then, I mean, they still get theirs.
Right, but it's going to take Wagner from being my LB3 to being my LB4 or 5, or take Tevin from being my LB2 to being my LB3 or 4.
Yeah, we're just splitting hairs.
Well, at the top, you have to split hairs. I'm not saying it's a massive difference, but it's something to factor in.
I mean, it matters. But, I mean, if the guy's going to make plays, he's going to make plays. Levante David is going to get his.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, he was down last year and was still a fucking rock star. You know, Ogletree, James Laurinaitis, not the best linebacker in the world, okay? James Laurinaitis made a metric fuck ton of tackles in his career. And for several years, for 2 or 3 years, Alec Ogletree was right there next to him, and Alec Ogletree was getting his too. Look at the first couple weeks of last year before Ogletree got hurt. Dude was eating. He was on pace to be a top 3 linebacker last year in points per game. Telvin and Paz. Paz, as much as you don't want to like Paz, which a lot of people don't, and I get it, Paz racked up tackles last year. Guess who did too? Delvin Smith. You know, I just really don't worry about this too much, especially if they're a starter. The only time I really worry about competition is if it's legit, real competition, like for a job. Is this guy going to be on the field? Is he going to be on the field for 3 downs? In the case of Alec Ogletree, Levante David, Eric Kendricks, guys like these, they're going to be on the field. So yeah. I just don't worry about it much at all. I mean, just very, very little. And we always preach the talent's going to win out. Ride the talent. It will win out. And even more so on the defensive side, especially in Dynasty, the talent's going to ride out. You know, there are a lot of inferior players on the defensive side of the football that don't have, the career longevity that you're looking for. So you want the studs. Bobby Wagner. Yeah, there's some tackle competition there. Bobby Wagner is a fucking superstar. He's always going to be a 3-down middle linebacker, period. 5 years from now, even if he's not with Seattle, he's always going to be that guy. So you just take the best players and you roll with it, and then you can fill in the gaps with the Barons and the Quans and the Malcolm Smiths and the guys that may not be the best in real life players, but they can put up points for you in the short term. But the elites are the elites.
You know, I was thinking about while you're talking about it. I think there's 2 linebackers in my top 8 that don't have another strong linebacker on their, in their same linebacking core, and that's going to be Mosley and Collins. Kuechly's got to deal with Davis. I mean, Quan, I guess, is the weakest example of the ones who have any sort of competition. You got Telvin, you got Wagner, you got Ogletree. I mean, Barron still is another one of those. But, I mean, they all make theirs. So I guess when it comes down to it, it's even if all the top guys are competing for them, then adding another top guy that's competing for him doesn't really mean anything because they're all doing it.
Yeah, they just make plays. I mean, and that's all fine. I mean, I get it on a micro level. If you really want to, deeply analyze this stuff, I get it. It's there. I mean, they are going to lose some tackles, but not enough that I care. It's just like Nuke Hopkins opposite. They add Will Fuller and they add, Jalen Strong's coming on and they add Braxton Miller. Are you going to knock Nuke Hopkins down? I'm not. But is there competition for targets? Maybe, I guess, but I don't care. Not enough for me to make it drastically alter my rankings, in other words.
Yeah, I mean, words.
Words is hard.
One last thing. It's not really a fancy live update, but we got a nice little blurb coming out of Texans camp that Will is an extremely special football player. Obviously, he has great speed, and that's coming from Brock Osweiler. So even for me, I feel like even if Strong is getting hype, I think best case scenario, we're looking at a New Orleans type of situation where you have your clear-cut number one, Hopkins, equivalent to Graham, and then you got your number two, and you got your number three, and your number two and your number three switch. Devery Henderson on fantasy, depending on the week, he would be the 2 or the 3 or the 4. And I could see that happening with Fuller and Strong and Braxton Miller.
Braxton's a good football player, man.
He is way too raw. I think he's going to either get buried on that depth chart or he's going to have to get traded.
He's going to be valuable for his team. I just don't know if it's going to be as a possession wide receiver or as even a wide receiver at all. I think he's going to be valuable for the team.
I don't know. I think we've seen how those gadget players play out, the Dexter McClusters of the world, and it's never as good as we envision in our heads.
No, not for fantasy, but Dexter McCluster's been a perfectly viable player for his teams over the years.
He's been viable, but what has he really done that's all that special?
Been a good football player.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I disagree, but what else is new?
Yeah.
So hopefully we can start getting out more shows. That would be good. I don't know if y'all like them, but I like them.
We've been doing okay. I mean, we only missed 1 week.
No, we went a while. If you don't count the IDP playbook, which I don't because so many people don't do IDP, we went like 2.5 weeks without a show.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I was moving, so I get an excuse. Tyler's Tyler. So He gets an excuse. Yeah. So I'm not sure how recording's going to go. We'll probably try and record another show this weekend. Try and work around preseason games. Or we'll do it in the middle of the week. I don't know. But we're going to try and get one out every week. I'd like to get out an IDP show. I'd like to try and get 2 more IDP shows out before the season starts. Somebody messaged us, and it didn't get added to the questions, but they want to see us do an IDP episode, even if it's just a short one during the week for like waiver wire grabs and stuff. And I don't know how you feel about that, Tyler. I know schedules are tough for us, but we should be able to shit out 20 minutes every so often, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah,
I gotta remember to like edit it on time in time for people to like do their waivers.
Yeah, why not? I'm sure we can do that. God, football season is so busy.
Yeah.
So busy. So many teams.
Nice thing is though, it'll be a good chance for us to get on, bullshit with each other, bounce ideas off each other for our own teams, and which we can always work while we do that. And then
the best part for me with the end season, the waivers, is I'm out of waiver wire money by like week 3, and then the waivers kind of slow down a little bit.
Yeah, that, and I'm instead of making y'all wait for this episode, I'm gonna straight up download it when we're done and edit it. And I'm like actually gonna do it because I took, the meds that make me not go to sleep. So I'll actually stay up and do it. And I've got my workspace finally set up. I had to fix my desk because it got broke, and now it's unbroke. So I got a couch, and my dogs are hanging out with me, and I should just be able to sit here and work in peace and not get distracted by South Park in the background. My wife marathons South Park. She's the best. But yeah, so Any last parting shots for us, bud?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for all the support, especially last week. We were putting that IDP show out. We got so many retweets and questions and guys coming out of the woodworks, and I just thought it was fantastic. The IDP community is really, even more so than it has been in the past, is really kind of coming together, and everybody gets along, and we're all talking constantly via Twitter, Voxer, within the leagues, all over the place. So the support we got for that IDP show was fantastic. And if y'all haven't listened to it, you gotta listen to it. Eric Coleman is a freaking boss. The guy we had on last week, the guy EC we had on last week, he's just amazing. He's on another level.
He is
with his scouting takes. He really is. So I mean, even if you don't play IDP, just go listen to it and learn some stuff from EC, because it was such a fun show. But I thought the support we got for that was just fantastic.
Absolutely. And I hate to kind of bring up numbers because it always feels weird, like we're pandering, or that's not the right word, but I can't think of the right word. I couldn't even remember names earlier. So the fact that I'm still making sentences is kind of an accomplishment. Our views are down a lot since they were like around draft time, and that's naturally going to happen because people are trying to get all the info they can. But if there's certain reasons why y'all aren't listening as often or anything like that, if there's stuff about the show that's turned you off, let us know. This is far from like a perfected product or like a system that we've just got down pat. We're still just kind of like pulling it together by the fucking hairs of our ass every week. And I mean, I thought it was pretty cool when you're having like 1,000 people, 1,200 people a week listening, and I'd like us to get back to that. There's only so many ideas I can come up with off the top of my head. So I could always use some help. So if you guys have improvement ideas for the show, or things we can do better, please let us know. And if anybody wants to suggest that I don't drop the F-bomb quite as much, I said fuck a lot this show. I don't normally do it. I've tried to be good about it, but I don't know. I guess whenever I can't think of words, that's just the one that comes to mind. So it got filled in a lot. Anything else, bud?
No.
All right. I'm going to send out invites to everybody that's done one of my 2 QB mocks this offseason. I'm finally going to do another set. Said I was going to do them in July. I'm a big fat liar, but I'm going to send those out. I'd like to try and run 5, 6, 7 of them before the end of the preseason, get some more 2 QB ADP data out there. And yeah, that's about all I got. That's a lie. I've got one more thing. If there's prospects you want us to cover, we already have one guy that wants us to do Kareem Hunt out of Toledo. He'll be on our list to do either in the next episode or the episode after that, because we do like to go running back, wide receiver. If you guys have prospects you'd like us to evaluate, please let us know, because I don't know about Tyler, but for me, that's my favorite part of doing any show and getting ready for any show. Plus, it's going to give me more names to catch up on and try and get ahead on my work, instead of like, oh, we're going to do this guy this week, I guess I better watch him now. So, which is what happened with Gallman, and that's why I'm so surprised I like him, because I hadn't watched him yet. But I think I'm going to finish running my suck and wrap it up for the night. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me has been my co-host, as always, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBOMIDP. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.